When you're broke like me, you love free-to-play games. So first up is Happy Dungeons, which is a sequel to Happy Wars, which I think was an Xbox and maybe PC exclusive game that I never really played. It doesn't seem like you need to play it though. I do love the setup to this game where characters from Happy Wars fall off the floating islands that game takes place on and just fall to the ground, and this is the new world, which is kind of a great way to reset the lore and also provide some hilarious visuals of the princess running through all these falling soldiers. It uses mobile game progression, whereas all your gear is stuff you either obtain through playing or you buy, and usually the stuff that you buy is better. And you buy them in packs, and so that's where you get all your good stuff, and certain stuff have mods, and you can use those mods and take them off weapons, put them onto other weapons. So there's a lot of depth there. And you level up weapons by fusing weapons you don't want into them. This would totally be a pay-to-win situation, but I believe the game is co-op only, so really it doesn't matter. The gameplay itself kinda is pretty slow, which is fine if your game is more methodical, which it can be, but the controls can be very clunky. Like, I played the healer, or the cleric, out of necessity because no one else wants to play it, and I can see why, because the main healing skill is terrible. When you have a skill that targets a single character, you have to hit the button and then use the stick to select which party member to heal. And it only really works if the party member is in your field of view or on screen. So usually healing a guy becomes way more difficult than it should be, because one, you have to see them, then you have to press the button, then you have to wait a second or so for the stick to actually register that you're able to move the cursor, and then you can heal them, and then you don't even heal them for that much, and it's just a huge pain in the ass to play as the healer, and I can see why no one wants to play as him. When combat is more about numbers, you don't really need to have the smoothest controls, I guess, as there are some hilarious combinations that can be pulled off with spike traps and throwing bombs and dodging and hitting things and running away. I guess it gets the job done for what the game has to offer. On the other end of the coin, there's Knights of Valour. Stupid use. Which is kind of a weird name for a game that is clearly inspired by Chinese warriors. I mean, it's probably fine to call them knights, but I wouldn't call them knights. I mean, they're not called Dynasty Knights. That game has a similar progression system where it's you get gear and you can buy gear and then you can upgrade gear, but the upgrades are kind of lame at the beginning where it just raises things by a single point. And that game has its own issues with clunk. For starters, you have 8 directional movement and it never feels good. I don't know why you can't move just 360. It just doesn't even look right and it feels terrible. And it just leads to imprecision when you're attacking, because if you're slightly off, you won't hit the enemy. Which is what I think Viking Squad was doing, where they just reduced the game to lanes. Cut that part out. And when you do hit enemies, there's really not that much juice to the hit. I think the term's called juice, where it's like visual effects that lead to player feedback and make the hits feel good. Enemies just kind of flash white and lose a small bit of their health bar, or a huge bit, because this game is very easy in the beginning, especially if you have PlayStation Plus stuff like me, and you have weapons that are better than everything else. Maybe if there was damage numbers it'd be better, but I don't know, I guess they cut those out because they're bad on frame rate. Now, playing online leads to a huge case of guilt, because there's no real level, at least because I got matched with some really high level people who are playing the game on the hardest difficulty, which means I basically get one shot by everything. But if you're under level 11, you get to revive for free, which is, I guess, a cool thing to do. But since the game rewards everybody for not having anyone die in multiplayer, I couldn't help but feel like I was robbing everyone of these rewards. So it made me feel terrible. The inventory system, well, cool idea, just kind of feels a bit too much because you have to read what the items do because they're kind of small and you get lost on a screen where tons of dudes are on and hitting each other with flashy effects and whatnot. Also, it's 2017, why do we have beat 'em ups with only one attack button?